Godzilla, the radioactive lizard of titanic proportions. While previous versions of the rampaging beast have played both hero and villain, the modern legendary Godzilla has been nothing but a respectable savior. Whether it's battling the family of M.U.T.O.s or even the Monkey Kong, he's managed to ensure the safety of the world time and time again. All that being said, however, there exists a three-headed terror that even Godzilla could not manage on his own: King Ghidorah. Today we will look through his cinematic appearance as well as scaling to other feats performed by weaker titans to determine how strong is King Ghidorah. For starters, the reason most of the following calcs will center around other titans is the fact that, well, Ghidorah doesn't really do a lot outside of bashing into Godzilla, so using those feats isn't exactly unreasonable. Like when Rodan casually created a gigantic plume escaping a volcano. Accounting for this person right here, we can determine this cover's width, to then determine this plate's size, to then determine this plume would be as wide as 429 meters, and being generous, could have peaked at a height of 20,000 meters. Accounting for the commonly used 5 megapascals of pressure change and the volume of the plume, Rodan must have produced 13.8 megatons of TNT as he exited the volcano. Not to be outdone, Babe Mothra was able to part clouds with her sunshine. Assuming this perspective is about 8 meters above sea level, the distance of the clouds were dispersed about 10 kilometers, which they moved in about 3 seconds. Assuming the clouds that are being parted are about 3,000 meters tall, we can take both the radius and the height into the equation for the volume of a cylinder to get a volume of over 942 billion cubic meters. With a density of just over 1 kilogram per cubic meter, this would make the cloud mass worth about 945 billion kilograms. So, taking both the mass and the velocity, we find that Mommy Mothra must have produced the energy equivalent of 1,254 megatons of TNT. But things don't stop there. Ghidorah lifts, bro. The guy can lift Godzilla into the air, and Big G is a whopping 90,000 tons. But he also has some ridiculous feats like creating a storm large enough to cover Brazil. And Brazil isn't exactly small. It has an area of over 8,500 billion square meters. As for the height of this storm, serious thunderstorms in the tropics have been measured as high as 22.8 kilometers or as low as 2 kilometers. Taking the highest height and subtracting the lowest low, the height works out to 20,860 meters. Taking that area and then the height, we get a volume of 177 quadrillion cubic meters. With a density of just over a kilogram per meter, it would be a storm as heavy as 178 quadrillion kilograms. Taking that into account, as well as factoring a cloud's cape value, this would require King Ghidorah to produce over 340 gigatons of TNT. Now, island level power is cool and all, but honestly, Ghidorah and Godzilla are likely far beyond just that. Take for instance when Godzilla tanked a meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs. Based on the size of the crater left behind, this would work out to an explosion worth 11 petatons. Not only that, but Ghidorah was able to walk off the Oxygen Destroyer's blast better than Godzilla did. Credit to Apex Predator X on Versus Battle Wiki for the math in this calc, with his link down below. The blast from the OD was said to destroy the oxygen within a 2-mile radius. As for the height of the affected area, there is a species of fish shown hit by the blast that is found where the scene is set, that being the Mexico Gulf. This would put us 4,384 meters down. Slap those numbers into the equation for the volume of a cylinder, and we have a volume of 1.426239 e to the 11 cubic meters. In order to determine what mass of water is affected, we need to take the density of air as well as the percentage of oxygen in air to get an effective mass of 36,689,000,000 kilograms. Next, we need to account for the atomic mass of oxygen, which is about 2.656762641 e to the negative 26 atoms per kilogram, granting us, granting us 100, that many atoms. Last, we just need to take the energy value of one oxygen atom, about 20 picojoules, and find a total output of over 27 septillion joules, about 6.6 petatons. Why bring up a smaller attack than the previous meteor feat? The way I see it, Ghidorah must be way stronger than the 11 petaton feat in order for an attack half as potent to mess up Godzilla way worse than the meteor did to his younger self. The reason I believe this to be true is simply the fact that Big G has endured even greater feats than 11 petatons in the 66 million years since. For instance, Godzilla had a nasty beef with the Mama M.U.T.O. Prime after the events of Godzilla, and she was roughing my man up. Keep in mind, Mama M.U.T.O. has the ability to move tectonic plates, which, accounting for the average mass of a tectonic plate, and assuming she can move them as fast as she can travel herself, that'd be a punching power of 321 petatons. So for Ghidorah to beat up Godzilla to the point where a measly 6.6 petatons could put him into a complete retreat mode, he'd have to be well within the multi-continental range of power. But Ghidorah isn't a powerhouse, he is an emperor of the skies. For instance, he traveled from the Bahamas to the Havine Sea in about 4 minutes. That's a distance of 481,000 meters, which would make the wyvern's travel speed over 2,000 meters per second, nearly 6 times the speed of sound. Not only that, but his combat speed and reaction speeds are even more impressive. Consider how Kong, who is clearly nowhere close to Godzilla or Ghidorah, has some incredible hand speed, fast enough to block an incoming atomic breath. We actually already calculated this feat in Kong's video, which would require him to move his hands at 6,200 meters per second. For reference, the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird can move around Mach 3.3. That's nearly 5.5 times slower than Kong's punches. Not only that, but Ghidorah reliably is able to dodge Godzilla's atomic breath, and that stuff is ridiculously fast, fast enough to travel from the center of the Earth to the hollow Earth, a beam with a speed of 32,994 meters per second. Alas, all great things must come to an end, and much is the same for Earth's greatest threat. After a nuclear juicing, as well as absorbing the life force of his bae Mothra, burning Godzilla uses his nuclear pulse to completely destroy Ghidorah. Credits to XSG Adrian from Character Stats and Profiles Wiki for the math on this calc. Based on Godzilla, the height of the pulse is about 4 times himself, which at the time is just under 120 meters, and the pulse makes an ellipsoid shape. As for the length of the blast, it stretches to about 1,000 meters. Using those measurements, we can get the volume for an ellipsoid of this size. It's at this point that I am going to have to slightly step away from the calc that XGS did himself, because his results don't quite match mine. And no, I'm not changing the result because I disagree. It's because even though he says the height should be 4 times Godzilla, he uses one radius as the 4 times height and the other radius as just Godzilla's height, which doesn't make sense since the scalene ellipsoid has to have 2 equal radiuses. So while our results aren't going to be the same moving forward, the way he did the calc is still going to be the way we will do ours. Anyway, with the adjusted volume, we can use this in the radiation energy formula to determine how much of a blast Godzilla was hitting Ghidorah with. The radiation energy formula reads as follows. P equals energy in joules per second. This curve E means emissivity of a measured area. A is the area covered by the pulse, with that O thing representing Boltzmann's constant of 5.67 e to the negative 8 watts per meter squared Kelvin to the 4th power, and T is the temperature in Kelvin. For simplicity's sake, the product of E and A is practically just the volume, which we've already calculated. And while burning Godzilla is referred to as going supernova, it's more of a visual comparison and not one for explosive yield. That being said, the novel also somewhat implies that the pulse can reach the temperature of a red giant, but we're going to instead use the temperature of our sun's core, which is about 15 million Kelvin. So, taking Boltzmann constant, the determinant volume, and the temp of our sun's core, we get a staggering pulverizing power pulse worth 659 exatons of TNT, enough to destroy small planets. And Ghidorah took 2 of them to the face before going down. What a beast. So yeah, with the power to single-handedly wipe out multiple continents, speeds that can rival some of the fastest jets, and durability so grand it takes 2 blasts capable of destroying plans to stop him, it's no wonder Godzilla and Ghidorah have been rivals for centuries over several different timelines. But that's enough from me. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. If you want more Godzilla content, you can click on this tab to check out the full Kong video, or if big hairy monkeys aren't your thing, perhaps you'd enjoy my video on the results of Fury and Wilder's trilogy. Other than that, yeah, bye-bye.